Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm back with a follow-up video on the Redmi 10X 5G. So when I first did my first review, and I've been using this phone now for well over a week, I called it a game changer. Has my opinion changed? Definitely not. This is an absolute game changer, this one here. Now, I would have called it the best 5G phone for the price. However, for me here in Europe, it doesn't have LTE band 20, and for those of you in France that need band 28, it's also lacking. Apart from that, this phone really has it all. So if you haven't seen my first video, I recommend you do watch that, please. It has a 3.5mm headphone jack. It does have pretty much everything you want in a phone, a 48 megapixel camera that can take good photos. And it did really surprise me with some of the photo quality, the optimization that we've got here from both MediaTek and Xiaomi. Take a look at this. This is the red hibiscus flower. I love to take photos of this one because even really expensive flagships can mess this one up. But no, not here. The Redmi 10X did almost a perfect job. It got the red correct. That is quite hard for a lot of phones. We'll have it coming out a little bit pinkish, just the wrong kind of tone of red. And a lot of them will clip the red. So what I mean by clipping is you don't see the different shades. It would just completely smudge out and kill the details and just have it all one red in one area. But no, this captures the different shades of red. You can see the little veins. You can see the darker patches. It did an excellent job. It's an omni-vision sensor that a lot of people are concerned about. How's it going to be compared to the Samsungs? Or how's it going to be compared to, say, the Sony IMX series? It's somewhere in between them, I feel, and not a bad job at all. And even portraits, this photo example here that you're looking at, I don't think it's bad for the price of this phone. You hear me saying that a lot. It's about 300 euros imported. This one I got from trading Shenzhen. So performance is very, very good. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM, my model, and 128 gigabytes of storage. And as mentioned, 300 euros offers so much. Now, there are some concerns about the battery life, which I want to get onto, which I will let you know about in detail. But there are a lot of people that just were very skeptic, and I understand why. Being a MediaTek, how can Chris say it's so good? How can it have the speeds and wireless speeds of a flagship phone? That is just impossible, right? It's not possible. How could it be? How could it have the same or even better random reads and writes on the storage? So I want to do just a couple of little tests here, and I've done those tests already. So we're talking about wireless performance. This is where it is quite impressive. You want to look at these maximum and then the minimum speeds here. So spot 2 actually here, this one, is the fastest. That's right next to the router that I can push through. Here it is, just under 700 megabits per second with the Poco F2 Pro / K30 Pro that I have right here. So that's a Snapdragon 865 mobile, by the way. It's impressive. We've got a $300 phone with a chipset, the Dimensity 820, basically beating the flagship phone here, which is pretty crazy. And it goes on into other areas as well. That's the Antutu score, by the way, which is not bad at all. So here we have GPS. A lot of people did ask me about GPS performance. How can the accuracy be better? Well, the accuracy is not what we always look at. You want to also focus on the average. And it does work really well. MediaTek's GPS used to be, let's face it, crappy, terrible before, until the G90T. It really improved things. Well, in fact, they got a little bit better with some of those previous Helio ones. So 1 meter of accuracy is possible because they don't have restrictions due to some sort of weird law, I think it is in America, that Qualcomm is not allowed to have better accuracy than 3 meters. So it's capped there. And very good signal strength. Now, because this one does get 60 satellites, the Snapdragon 865, because it has dual frequency GPS, so that is why. So really good in terms of GPS performance. And what about the storage speeds as well? So storage, I've got a benchmark of that also right here. And I did benchmark it on the flagship. Now, this flagship has UFS 3.1 storage, so it should and will be always faster. Well, not always. Look at this. So for random reads and writes here, we get an impressive result on this cheaper phone with that Dimensity 820. So random reads are a little bit slower, actually, and then the random writes on the flagship. Very interesting with UFS 3.1 storage. But look at the sequentials. That's where we gain the speed. But even this, sequential read of almost 1,000 megabytes per second. That is excellent. So I did want to do a little bit of a live test here as well with that GPS. So I'm just going to bring up what I used to test this, which is wireless sweet spots. A lot of people, they don't trust, do they, screenshots? I've manipulated them. So it's already got the results there for some reason, but I'm going to hit start here and we'll get just a reading from where I am. connected up to my router. So it's getting around transfer speeds of 11 megabytes per second, as you can see right at the top. Okay, 300 megabits per second, more or less. And we'll stop that one and start this one. And look at this. This is what I'm talking about. It's just been so quick on downloads and everything. That is so much quicker. So much quicker. Very good. So those, I think, just are enough to show to people that I'm not talking rubbish here, that it is a very good phone for what you're getting. The build, okay, it does have a plastic frame around it, but it does have a fully laminated, of course, AMOLED screen. Fingerprint reader is in screen, and it's probably about as fast as the K30 Pro here. So let's just test it out first on this one. That's quick. It takes a second or so because of the animation lag. And what about here, our Poco F2 Pro, which is the K30 Pro. Very quick as well. Now this one does, of course, have a much better screen. It is a better screen. It's brighter. This one tops out about 1,000 nits. This one's around, I can't even remember off the top of my head now. I think it's about 720 nits. It does have a sunlight boosting mode as well. So very, very good. What is on offer here? So believe the hype about this new chip, that it is a game changer. That was not hype from me. That's not clickbait. But now let's get on to what a lot of people are probably here for, the battery life. So here is my result. It's not amazing to get 14 hours and 5 minutes, but it's not bad at all. For a MediaTek chip again, and the Dimensity 820 here, I think has performed well. But you always will get a score that is lower, okay? It is going to be lower than, say, the Snapdragon 765. And in the Mi 10 Lite 5G, I got close to 16 hours, the same exact test, with the displays always calibrated to 200 nits of brightness. I think it's bad, not bad at all. I think that's fine, and I will take this slight battery sacrifice over the performance we gain here versus, say, the Snapdragon 765. This one just runs so much better. Now, the charge time. So, to charge the 4,520 milliamp hour battery, it took exactly 79 minutes, as you can see down the bottom here, to go from 3% to 100. Again, this is a fine, perfectly acceptable result here. It's not going to win any speed tests, all right? It's no Realme X2 Pro, which charges in 35 minutes to 100%. But overall, that isn't bad at all. All right, now on to what you're probably here for, and that is my thermal test. Now, there's been a lot of channels and others that claimed that this phone and the MediaTek chips, like the last gen, the Helio G90T, would get up to 50 degrees Celsius, that it would be the hottest phone out there with thermal throttle, run into all sorts of problems. And I wanted to check that. Maybe it is true, because I gamed for 1 hour before on high settings, and I didn't have any problems. The thermals were excellent, as I reported in my review. But what I will do here is, and I have done, is I've set the phone here to ultra high settings now, which is the most demanding. And this is quite a, you could say almost a poorly optimized game, but also very demanding game as well. 60 frames per second, of course, so that's maximum frame rate to generate maximum possible heat. And I'm going to hit start here on my timer. And I will break out after 2 hours of gaming, or close to it, whatever I can put up with testing. And we'll see exactly how hot is it going to get. Are those people just clickbaiting and saying that, no, the Dimensity 820 is going to cook itself? Is it just all for views or clicks? Or is it valid? Maybe I was wrong. Of course, I make mistakes. I'm human. Maybe it is going to get up to 50 degrees. So let's find out. The phone to the touch right now, it feels cool. I wouldn't even say warm. Maybe tiny little bit there. So let's game now. I'm going to game for 2 hours, and I'll come back with those interesting results. All right, so it has now been, well, it's close to 2 hours. You can see right here, it's coming up to 2 hours. I'm not going to do an exact 2 hours because I think that's just ridiculous, and this is long enough. Now, I haven't been in this exact same position for almost 2 hours gaming. I was down on my sofa, but I have been gaming nonstop, and this is performing really well. So I'm not actually seeing any what I would call lag or throttling. It has the exact same performance here as it did when I first started this, when the mobile phone was cool. So really, really good. In terms of the performance, the thermals, okay, let's have a look. I'm going to break out my thermal imaging camera to take a look at it properly and see just how warm it is. But I can feel, yes, the phone is hot. It does feel quite hot. Am I just about to die here as well? So we'll take a look exactly what kind of temperatures you can expect for 1 hour and 50 minutes of gaming continually here, Shadowgun Legends, on that ultra high setting that I showed you at the start. All right, so I have calibrated this thermal camera here to make sure that these are the most accurate results I can give you. So 25 degrees is my ambient temperature here, more or less. Now, if I move this around to the hottest point, which is the brightest color here, we are seeing, there we go, 44.5, almost 45 degrees after a continual 2 hours of gaming. Now, I did not let this rest the phone at all, okay? I didn't get out of the game when I got my camera and everything ready. It was already prepared, ready to go, so it's had no break, no time to cool down, and I think that these results are acceptable. I think Qualcomm chips would be the same kind of temperatures here after 2 hours of intensive gaming on the highest, ultra high setting there of Shadowgun Legends. So what about the rear? Because the rear of it does feel like it is getting also quite warm to the touch. Right there you can see. So let's just move this down now to monitor that. So it's actually a little bit cooler than the front. So the front of it is getting the hottest there. So we're seeing approximately close towards about 43.5, almost up to 44 degrees there on the back. So again, it is getting warm. Is this a heating issue? As a lot of people are commenting, and a lot of people in my comments on the first video saying that I'm doing some sort of cover-up behind some sort of MediaTek conspiracy to make it look good. No, this is just the results. I'm just speaking facts here, that it's perfectly fine temperatures in my 25-degree ambient temperatures I have in this room. So there we go, guys. This phone has absolutely stunned me, really. It is a game changer. As mentioned, that's not clickbait. It truly is for this price. Remember, this actually sells in China for about $226 US. But when you import one, of course, they add their cut on top of that. So thank you so much for watching this video. Do check the full review where I go into a lot of detail with this particular phone. And now all we need is just a global release of this one. Hopefully Xiaomi is watching this video. Please do release a global version of this and price it. It's got to be under at least 300 US and 300 euros for us.